Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our weekly EC Writers team call. Thank you so much for spending your Wednesday evening with us. We are so glad to have you on with us. We have a fantastic guest tonight. I'm really excited. I can't wait to hear from this gentleman that will be joining us. But first, I'm going to go ahead and introduce our host. If you are not familiar with our host this evening, he is an executive consultant in the business. He is what we call financially free, which means every month, at the end of the month, whether he works or not, he has enough money to pay all of his bills, which is something I know I'm looking very forward to. He owns a couple of Dickey's barbecue restaurants. He has a music box company. He's a musician. He's a 5-star trip earner. That means out of 340,000 consultants in the business, he earned his way onto a 5-star trip, which is it only takes 20 people on that trip, so that was fantastic. He has had several businesses in the past, traditional businesses, made several $1 million and sold those businesses, so he is very well-versed in business. And, of course, he's brought us the Purge call on Sunday nights, which has just totally changed many, many people's businesses and really given us structure and a setup for the entire week. So make sure you get on that Sunday call as well. So without further ado, I would like to introduce my friend and mentor, Mr. Richard Laidler.
Hello there, my lovely. Are you there?
I'm here.
And you can hear me okay?
I can hear you.
I love that. Okay, I love that nice bit of music you put in the background there. Is that a nice little...
that actually wasn't me.
Nice little jingle you got going on there, adding a little bit more professionalism. I love it. All right, well, welcome everybody, 9 o'clock on Wednesday night. Thank you for joining us on the EC Writers Team Call. We call it the EC Writers Team Call, but it truly is open to anyone and everyone. And judging by, I can see on the board here, we've got people from all around the country. So welcome to everybody. Thank you for joining us at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and 10 o'clock, depending where you are. The purpose of this particular team call that we do is there's a lot of team calls that are out there that are very much, you hear a lot of stories and it's very motivational. People talk about their stories and how they got going in the business. And we occasionally we'll do that ourselves. Usually this call is all about specific, what to do today, what to do tomorrow, what to do when this happens, what to do when this happens. We're very much a very practical call. And we've got a little bit of a combo tonight because I do have a special guest on the call, because very often the special guests we'll have maybe will be a 6-year veteran EC or an NC. Last week we had Regina Gale, and she did a fantastic job at talking about the business and what it was like 10 years ago. But I was very interested to get someone on the call as a guest tonight who's in the trenches right now. So someone who's as similar to all of you on the call as possible. Someone who's not already done it, but someone who is doing it. Someone who has made the mistakes that we've all made. Someone who's then found those mistakes, got the training, and then made the adjustments to make it right. And this particular gentleman has very much done that. He's been at both ends of the scale, like most of us have had. Most of us have. I know when I first started, being a business owner, I thought, I know everything. I've done all this before, and I couldn't have been more wrong. We do this a little bit differently. What we do in this business is very, very simple, but it's very simple to do right, and it's very simple to do wrong. And we do things a little bit different. And before I actually introduce my guest, I do need to have a sip of my cup of tea, because, of course, being British, we have a cup of tea in the evenings. But excuse me one second. Lovely cup of tea. Nothing like a nice cup of tea in the evening. Makes everything go right. So without further ado, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this particular guest on the call. I don't have prepared questions because, first of all, he's a great friend of mine. We chat all the time, so there's going to be no shortage of conversation. And for those of you who know me, know that there's not much dead air space out there when I'm on the phone. I can chat. I've got a few things to talk about. But I wanted to kind of make this call very much a live thing, and I want to kind of put our guest a little bit on the spot without prepared questions. I know he's got, he's had a lot of success in the business, as I say, but also been through a lot of the learning curves that we're all going through right now. So without further ado, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my friend onto the call so we can get going. This particular gentleman is probably one of the hardest working people you know. He's married, he's got a family. I'm going to let him tell you a little bit more about that. But this gentleman, he's up when it's dark and he goes home when it's dark. And he's in construction, so he's he's management in construction, but out there, kind of foreman-like. So he's out there in the field. He's at one site, then another site, then another site, constantly driving around. And I know very often I've seen him at business presentations or trainings, and he'll turn up, and he'll be the first one to tell you that he's a good old redneck boy, because he'll turn up to the training sometimes from the site. So he's in jeans and a T-shirt and stuff like that. So this man fits in Ambit around what he's currently doing. So for those of you who think you're busy, trust me, you're probably not compared to this particular gentleman. But he's done super well. He's got a fantastic why, which I'm going to let him share with you. But more importantly than that, he was my golfing partner at the Ambition golfing day that we had there. And boy, this guy can play some golf. I had a couple of good shots, but thank goodness this guy was in our team. He can really play some wicked golf. But so what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my very good friend, senior consultant Chad Crenshaw, on the call. Are you there, Chad?
I am here, Richard. How are you, sir?
I am doing fantastically. No doubt you've only just got back in from a site somewhere.
Yes, sir. I actually told my wife I didn't. Our house is the worst place for reception, so she's giving Kale a bath, and I actually drove up here back to the office so I could get on a landline to make sure my phone didn't drop.
Oh, wow. Well, thank you very much for that. I really appreciate that. But let's, so everybody, because I know some of the people on the call know who you are. There's other folks from around the country who are also on the call who are going through the same rigmarole that we are in building our business. And I want them to know who you are. So if you wouldn't mind just kind of telling us a little bit about who you are, how old you are. I don't mind asking a guy that, but I try not to ask the ladies that. But how old you are, family status, what you do for a living and how much time that takes. And then we'll talk a little bit more about Ambit after that. So just for right now, let us know a little bit, let us know who Chad Crenshaw is.
Yeah, perfect. My name's Chad Crenshaw. I'm actually 36 years old. I've been blessed. I've worked for the same company for 21 years. I started when I was 15 years old. I'm 36 years old now, and I haven't known anything other than being a self-proclaimed white trash construction worker. That's how I like to introduce myself and take the ice off of any conversation. I met my wife in college. I played basketball at Texas Western University on a scholarship, and met my wife there. She's in the medical field. She takes care of disabled children at a couple different school districts here in Fort Worth. We have one son. I have a 4-year-old named Kale. He's only son I have. He is my wife for this business. He is the absolute pride and joy in my wife. In my life, other than my wife, of course. And depending on the time of year, I work somewhere between 80 and 100 hours a week. And when people ask me what a 100-hour work week looks like, I tell them the hours, and you can see them trying to compute it in their head. And they said, that just doesn't even make sense. And I said, well, I live for my family, and I live on 5-hour energy drinks trying to get it done, just trying to get trying to get the next paycheck to pay the bills. And I'm very... Like I said, I've been very blessed and very fortunate to be able to work for the people that I work for now, and they give me just about anything I need. But the one thing they can't give me is more time with my son, and that is what Ambit's given me, and I am just completely excited.
Yeah, I can relate to that. When I had my business I came over to the UK in 1996 to start a business over here. And I didn't have enough money to get home, so I had to make it work. And I was like you. I was doing 100-hour weeks. I would have days where I would work all day and then work all night and then work all day again and then work all night. I'd always try and employ people who had ADD, so there was some Ritalin around the place so I could pick up. And this is absolutely no joke. I know it is funny. But I did an all day, all night, and then half a day, and I was kind of living off Ritalin and coffee, and I was starting to hallucinate in my peripheral vision. And the reason why I say that is because I was doing regular 100-hour weeks just like you. I don't know how I would have fit Ambit in during that particular time. So I take my hat off to you, sir. But I mean, that's amazing that you're able to actually fit it in. And again, for those of you who are on the call who are thinking, I find it really hard to find the time for my Ambit business, that Chad works really, really long hours. And again, I'm sure a lot of you work long hours and you're busy as well, but I'd be surprised if you work as many hours as Chad does. So Chad, why don't you kind of talked a little bit about your why, and I'm going to ask you a little bit more about, your son in a second. But what I wanted to ask you was, bearing in mind, you're working 100 hours a week, how do you squeeze in Ambit during that time? Obviously, you have to have a strong why to make sure that you're, it's driving you, because it'd be way too easy to get home and just go, oh, my God, I'm too tired. How do you fit Ambit in a 100-hour week?
Well, when I first got started, I knew absolutely nothing other than the consultant that Matt Long, the consultant that actually registered me to the business, told me that I could buy my time back, and that's all I needed to know. I could fit it in. So long story short, now after doing the Purge call with you, the Purge call, once I finished up, we worked on about 13 schools this summer. And once I did that, we did the Purge towards the end of that, which was the busiest time, and I actually got it, got everything done, and it was nice. It was nice to have to call you in the evening time and have an accountability partner and be able to get it done. Now I actually have 4 people on a group message and working with several people, and so we have multiple accountability partners, and it's fantastic. But all I knew was there was a meeting at the Botanical Gardens that Darren McClure, he ran a meeting on Tuesday nights. And I didn't have to know, I was told I didn't have to know anything about the business. All I had to do was invite people to take a look. So at the beginning, I didn't know how to call people and invite and do all that stuff. So I basically invited people as I saw them on job sites during the day, people that I knew, but I invited them to that presentation. And it didn't take but just 10 or 15 minutes a day to just basically tell people, you're very excited, you start a new opportunity, and do you have 45 minutes to come with me to a live presentation? I don't know how to tell you what I'm doing. All I know is that it works, and you can get off this construction site, and you can get back to your family. And then I brought him up, and I wrote in Darren McClure's coattails, and, he basically came over and told him after that. We got them all signed up, and the rest is history. But I mean, that's basically it. When you first start this business, 10 to 15 minutes a day. People say that. I started probably 5 minutes a day, and I knew absolutely nothing. And you surround yourself with just an unbelievable group of people and just leaders that are actually willing to help you out, take you under their wing because they completely understand what I'm going through. And I honestly believe when I first started that people like that want you to succeed more than you want yourself to succeed, and they actually believe it. I didn't believe it. I wanted to believe it, and now I believe it, and I'm trying to help others do the same thing, just 5, 10, 15 minutes a day.
It's interesting. You talk about the structure of the Purge call. A lot of people who are on the call know that I believe that is the silver bullet for this business. Is you can invite in a number of different ways. You can show the business in a number of different ways, as long as you do it. You can be the best inviter out there, but if you don't plan to make the invites during the week, you won't make any headway. So. I think the structure, it sounds like, you're talking about, first of all, 15, 20 minutes a day. It doesn't take very long to invite someone to take a look. But the thing is, you have the discipline because you're on the Purge call and you've got the discipline to make those 2 invites a day. And as you said, you have a call in the evening. There's 4 of you. I know the 4 guys that all get together and you all hold each other accountable. So for a man who's doing 100 hours a week, that there's 3 other guys going to be on a call later that day, waiting to hear how you got on. So you better get those couple of invites in, otherwise you're going to be the odd one out on that call, right?
Yeah, and can I say something about the Purge call? And I gave you credit before, and I actually talked to a lot of people, and I give you a lot of credit for, when I get overwhelmed working that many hours, I was actually missing the structure. I had my list. I got a little, I grew a business up to a senior, and then I got kind of bogged down working that many hours, and you've kind of jump-started my Ambit business back up. With the accountability, with everything else, not wanting to call you or to call any of these four guys that are on this group and say, guess what? Nothing to report today. I did nothing. I'm disappointed. I refuse to let that happen. And I actually got on. We have an app where we're actually recording our faces, and you can get on there and just put your. So I know that they can look in my face, they can look in my eyes, and it feels really good. We do it 3 times a week, and it feels really good to call people, purge my list, and be able to get on there and tell them, this is what I said, here's my notes, here's this, here's that. And, I think I spent 5 minutes on today and got 2 appointments today, and I basically spent 5 minutes growing my business today. I couldn't hardly find any time, 5 minutes, but there were people on my purge list, and I got to call it into the people, and it feels great.
I love the idea of having a video accountability call, because it makes it even harder not to have got your stuff done. As you say, when you're looking in someone in the whites of their eyes, it's like, and I didn't do anything and the other 3 guys did. Again, and I know the other 3, and I know they're all working their business. So, and I don't think they have the hours that you do, but I know you don't want them to leave you behind. The one thing I know, having played golf with you, is you're pretty competitive. So you're not going to let those other 3 guys get ahead of you from that particular case. That's a great idea. What do you use for your video app so that you can see, look each other in the eyes?
So the app is called Marco Polo, and you can basically anybody that's in your address book. We just added a group. There's 4 of us in the group, just called Team Ambit. And any during the day, if you have a story to share or anything else, you just hold it down, you record it, however long you want to record it, and it just stays there, and it pops up on somebody else's phone that just shows a new message. So anytime during the day, if somebody does something that's really exciting and you don't want to wait to the accountability portion of it, you just log on, you tell somebody you're excited, here's what happened, and then what's really cool is you can watch it. I try and keep an eye on it. And as soon as somebody reports something good, you just jump on there and say, hey, congratulations, I'm proud of you and everything else. And you can go on about your day, but I think it's a really cool app and it's a really cool tool. And I don't know anything about technology, but I know how to make that work.
That's a really good idea. Because one thing is being accountable from, I better measure up, otherwise I'm going to let people down. But as much as that, what about the camaraderie? If you're going through your day and it's pretty crappy, and someone on the job site, dropped a bunch of cement, or someone didn't deliver the goods, or someone didn't turn up on site when they're, and you're starting to feel down, and then you hear, from Josh or Matt on your Marco Polo app that Josh got a great new appointment with such and such, or Matt just signed someone up. That's gotta really build some great camaraderie. What a great idea! I love that. It's a great motivator, because as I get busy during the day, I see somebody something and I go, man, I need to do my Ambit business right now. So I'm kind of not having to be on a phone call with them at 6:00 in the evening, because it's really a motivational tool throughout the day as I get a message just from someone. So I actually enjoy it, and the guys I work with are just fantastic and great motivators. And competitiveness. It has better news than somebody else. I'm not going to lie. No, I hear you. And again, for those of you who are listening in on a call and thinking, wow, that feels like that's going to take up some time. When you've got a guy who's doing 100 hours a week, it can't take up very much time. And here's the thing. We started our Ambit business to get out of whatever our pain is, whether it's working for someone else, whether it's, in being in debt, whether it's making, worried about paying, college kids funds, whether it's about, taking care of your 4 or 5 year old son, whatever it happens to be. The thing is, we let's not make excuses for not being able to do, something we signed up that's going to get us out of, the crap that we're in our life. Excuse my language, but it is what it is. And so this can't actually, even though it's there for your day, it can't actually take up very much of your time, right, Chad?
That is absolutely correct. I'm telling you, 5, 10, 15 minutes, unless you're going to a presentation, which I think you should be, but just to make invites and stuff, it literally is 5 to 15 minutes a day on the phone, and you get good at inviting, and it takes less time. And I mean that's all it takes. But you got to have the structure. I roamed around for a while, just not following any kind of structure, just because I worked so many hours. I had papers all here and there and everything else, and now I have my note cards, and I have all the dividers for 31 days of the month, different colored cards, and I have names and stuff written down because of the Purge, and I have them all filed through there, and I know what to do with them, and I can take my box from my house to my desk to my truck, and I do it every day.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing is, you're one guy that'll never quit. I mean, you've got a why that's as strong as anybody's, and we'll talk about that in just a second. But if you didn't have that structure, if you remember the times prior to that structure, as you say, one does start one's week with, God, I really must do something with my Ambit business this week, and you kind of wait for an opportunity for a gap, or wait until you suddenly feel guilty and think, oh my gosh, I really should make a call, and you start scrambling through your book. If you don't have structure and a plan, then you can wander aimlessly. Even someone with your massive why can still be wandering around aimlessly and limiting your growth, right?
That's absolutely correct, yes, sir.
So for those of you on the call who maybe don't get onto the Purge call, what we do is we basically just make sure we prepare our week on Sunday. We have our written. I'm not going to go into all the details now, but we prepare our written list and we score it so all the cream rises to the top. The good names are at the top, and we have 10 names that we're going to call for the week, and we allocate time for when we're going to make those calls during the week. Now, I know in Chad's case, he can't say, well, it's going to be at 10 o'clock, I'm going to make my invite. He'll just make the commitment, I'm going to make the 2 invites this day, because at the end of the day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, or in Chad's case, he's doing it 3 days a week, but I know a lot of you are doing it every day, if there's that accountability call to either cross-line. In fact, the 4 guys, only one of them's in your team, right, Chad? The other 2 are actually in my team, right?
That's correct, yes, sir. We work cross-line. It's fantastic. I mean, I'm not on your team, and I'm on this phone call, and I love it. You're a great friend, and with me at all.
Yeah, that's it. So that's the thing is, if you those of you on the call are looking at your business and thinking, I'm not getting the growth that I want, it's not necessarily your ability to invite, not necessarily your ability to overcome objections. What it is lack of planning for the week. It's, we're all busy. We've all got jobs. And I know even Michelle, who's on the call now, who was hosting it earlier on, this girl works so hard. She's got 2 sons, teenagers that need to be run around for baseball and all the things that she's doing. Plus she's working, God knows how many hours during the week, yet she'll still allocate the time during the week. So for those of you who are on the call who are maybe thinking, I'm not getting the advancement in my business that I want, just create some structure. I'm not saying it's going to happen overnight, but if you're making 2 invites a day and you have an accountability call every day, if you're doing that 5 days a week, you will find someone who's going to join your business. And remember, we always talk about finding those 3 that we can then eventually work with. We're not looking to find 50 people to personally sponsor. We're looking to find 3 that we can work on and qualify. And I think if you're structured like you're talking about, Chad, I think that's what makes all the difference. But let's move on a little bit. I think I'd really like people to hear about the reason why you're doing this business. Talk a little bit more about your why.
Like I said, my son means the world to me. Actually, today when I got home, he was telling a story to his mom And I said, when was that? And he said, you were at work. He said, you weren't there, you were at work. And then he started telling the story again. And, I mean, that really is a gut check to me. But anyway, I started this business. I was over at my sponsor's house. He presented saving me some money on my electricity, and my kid had some medical problems. So we were looking for any way to save some kind of money. Then he called me back a few days later, and he said, hey, I did that a little wrong. I want to show you about this business. And I said, well, go ahead and sign me up. I signed up before I even saw anything. I just knew he saved me money, and I knew that we had to do something for my little boy. We needed to make some money to pay for medical bills that we were going through and everything else. And I live in a neighborhood. I live in a really, really nice neighborhood, but my son would go to a very terrible school. You know, I'm not going to send my son to go to a school where he won't get a good education or get beat up every day. That's I went through that when I was younger, and I don't anticipate sending my son there. So we started this, one, for money for his medical bills, two, to send him to get a good education, and the most important part of it all is so I don't have to hear stories like today. And my little boy now is old enough to talk to me and say, hey, Dad, you weren't there. You were at work. Time really, and I've learned a lot since I've joined this business. This business is way more than way more than just making money. I mean, it's personal development, and I have grown as a person since I've been on this. But time is the most valuable asset that you can give another human being, and I'm not giving enough of it to my son. And at this point now that I have structure in my business and everything else, and I've surrounded myself with some unbelievable leaders, for me, it's a race to the finish line. At the beginning, it was hope, and now it is actually belief. And my son drives me every day when I come home and I see him. I have pictures of him in my phone, on my truck dash, underneath the glass on my desk. Everybody knows why I do this business. I get choked up every time I get in front of a lot of people and talk about him. But I mean, that's my life. I only have one son. People say you don't know what you have till you have your own child, and I absolutely believe it. I thought I had all the time in the world to play golf, practice, do this, do that when I got off of work. And now that I have a son, I realize I have absolutely no time. And I left work a little early today. I took him to karate, and I don't want to miss any more of that. So my why is to get home to my son as fast as humanly possible.
Yeah, it's interesting you brought up when you first start the business, you hope it's successful. And again, I know there's some very new people on this call, and you're hoping, your fingers crossed that this is going to be a great thing. And you go through really three stages. You go through, first of all, you have hope. And first of all, let's just really address that. Ambit is successful already. You don't have to hope that Ambit is successful. It already is. We're doing $1.4 billion in revenue. We've got over 1 million customers. We're the largest direct seller of energy in the world. So there's no question whether Ambit's going to work. So don't hope about that. The only thing you've got to hope is that you're going to do the work and take your little piece of that pie. And you have control over that. You either do it or you don't do it. And so from that perspective, your hope is founded. Don't worry. There's a lot behind that. And then you're talking about belief, which is where you are now, Chad. And I remember getting that. You get your first check, and it's like, wow, this is great. That kind of re-emphasizes the hope. But when you start getting more checks, and they always pay you on time. Ambit has never, ever missed a check in the 10 years it's been in business. And boy, they're paying out some big checks, and they've never missed them. And that really creates some major belief. But there's a stage after that, which is I'm very happy to be in that stage myself, which is knowledge. You hope it's going to work, then you believe it's going to work, and you feel really strong it's going to work. But there's a certain point when you get a comma in your residual income every month that comes in every month, whether you've had a lazy month or a busy month, it's going to work. I sit back and relax knowing that I'm going to have my bills paid every month, whether I work or not. And they're the 3 stages that you'll go through. And no matter where you are in those stages, Ambit's still as successful it is. It's still doing its $1.5 billion. So feel very comfortable in that particular area. So Chad, let's get back to you. You've built. You're a senior now, and you're building towards your EC code, and you've got good structure in your business. You've overcome the hurdles of. I think the hurdles you had before was kind of not really knowing what you're doing, but that doesn't matter too much if you have good support and good structure. What kind of hurdles do you have now? You've got the structure in your business. You give it the same respect as you do your job, which I do believe people need to have respect for their Ambit business and not treat it like it's just something on the side. When you're running your business now, as busy as you are, the 4 guys you're going to be calling in the evening, what kind of hurdles do you still come up against, and how do you overcome those hurdles?
The biggest hurdles is, when I invite someone to take a look, and this sounds ridiculous, but I see it, and when other people don't see it, it still bothers me. Like it's hard for me to still grasp the concept that people just can't see it, and I know I'm not supposed to sit there and convince them that it will work, and I don't try and convince anyone, but it just blows me away. I actually, my best friends in the world, I don't have with me in this business. My own brother, he's not even a customer of mine. I mean, it's unbelievable the negativity that you get from the closest people to you. I still get that. I'm past it, but at the beginning, if I would have let that bother me too much, I would have quit. So that is one hurdle that I still have. I don't quit anything, but for anybody that's new in this business, that is one thing you will have to overcome, because some of the people that are closest to you in your life will be the hardest, will be your hardest critics, and I still find that to this day.
The good thing is, though, Chad, from your perspective, is even though you cannot believe that they don't want to do it. First of all, that's a credit to you that you do believe it so strongly that they should. But more importantly than that, those people who don't believe it, even though they may be negative or whatever, they don't even put a ding in your own belief. They don't steal your dream in any way, right?
That is absolutely correct. The day that my residual check becomes a comma, I'm going to mass text people, and I actually have a list of about 14 names of people who actually said some pretty negative things to me, and I'm going to send out a mass text with a picture of it. And I'm not going to say anything else. I'm just going to take a picture. That's it.
There's nothing like I'm a great believer. There's positive motivation where, come on, guys, let's go. But there's also negative motivation out there. When someone says I can't do something, that's actually better motivation for me than someone saying, come on, you can do it. No, tell me I can't do it.
That's it. I agree. Another deal that I face is, like, I am a live or die. I love the live presentations. Like, I love the live presentations. And I'll drive all the way to, 75 and 635. And I was with you one night. And one of the hardest things for me still is when you get stood up. When somebody no calls, no shows on you. But at this point is you go, well, it happens. They didn't see it. And then you pay attention and you sit around there, you talk to leaders, and you make the best of it, and you learn. And then it actually makes it a lot easier drive home. And you go, you know what? Those people are going to be missing out in the future. And I actually learned more by talking to some of these leaders tonight than possibly being in that room. And it is basically the 2 biggest things for me that I face now. It's not, it's really not any negative thoughts. I know this works. I've surrounded myself with some unbelievable people, and it's just a matter of time. And I actually, I actually love helping people at this point. People have helped me get to the position where I'm at, and I'm blessed to be in a kind of a leadership position here, and I absolutely love helping other people now. So if I can offer any advice, don't let anybody discourage you. You can dream as big as you want to dream. Richard and Mary say all the time, dream as big as you want to dream, because it doesn't cost any more than just having a dream. Dream huge. It doesn't matter. It doesn't cost any more.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. And that deal with people not turning up, that happens to all of us. I still have people not turn up. These are people who know that I'm financially free with Ambit. They still don't turn up. There's a couple of things about that. First of all, they kind of have disqualified themselves. They've kind of helped you out, that you're not going to be wasting your time with someone who can't even be courteous enough to call you to say they're not going to turn up. They're probably not the type of person you want to have in your business. That's one type of thought about it. But also, there is when you're inviting someone, there's a couple of ways to kind of make sure they're going to, or not make sure, but at least increase the odds. One is that if you invite them on a Monday and you're going to take them to the Thursday business presentation, is to call them on the Thursday and say, hey, just to double check, hey, I'm going to be there tonight. I'm traveling down specifically to meet you there. Plus, there's also, and you're in your case, Chad, you can say, my upline, I told Matt about you, and he's really excited to meet you. If you can add a little bit of weight in there, if someone is, if someone believes that someone is expecting them to be there and cannot wait to meet them, you've complimented them. Say, I told Matt about you. I'm really excited about this. He's excited to meet you. I just want to make sure that you've got the address to get there. That's one way of doing it. You can even volunteer to go and pick them up. Then for sure that they're going to turn up. But I'm a strong believer in, if you've invited them on Monday, give them a call on the Thursday as well during the day to make sure that they're going to turn up and to say someone is expecting to see you. I've told them about you and they're looking forward to meeting you. That's a way to just increase your odds. There's no hard and fast way of making sure someone's going to turn up, but at least that's going to help a little bit.
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, we're 39 minutes into the call, and I don't want to take up too many people's time. And this has been a really, really good call because, again, I like to get into the nitty-gritty, again, because a lot of you people on the call have the same pain that Chad does, that I do, that Michelle does. We all have the same pain. Just don't let anyone else steal your dream. But, Chad, just to kind of come to the end of the call, there's a lot of new people who are starting right now, and we've kind of covered a lot of information. But, you remember when you started and where you are now. If you could, look those people in the eye on your Marco Polo app and tell them something, just some words of encouragement or whatever, what would you say to those folks as a guy who's in the trenches, who's fought hard to get to senior, who's doing 100 hours a week? What would you're probably more qualified than some of even the ECs and NCs because you're such a hard worker in your traditional business. What would you say to those new folks who've just joined the business, or even if there are any guests who are on the call, what would you say to them?
I would say if a construction worker who's been doing construction for 21 years, who has no network marketing experience, who has zero experience communicating in any kind of, if you want to call this sales, I don't. If I can do it, anybody in their world can do it. And the only thing you have to do is attach just a humongous why, and you can do anything. If you just sit down and figure out why you want to make this work, you can't just say you want to do it for your son, or you can't just say you want to do it for financial freedom. I mean, you can, but if you really just get down to the nuts and bolts, I want a better life for my family. I want to be able to get home with my son. I don't want to miss any more memories with my son. When you really get down to the nuts and bolts on why, it will just drive you to continuing just to press on. And if you gather yourself some accountability partners right from the beginning, I was fortunate enough to have Matt right from the beginning. I talked to him, every day, and Darren McClure all the time. I saw him every week, and Richard and Mary. But the only reason I got to surround myself with those people right from the beginning is because I got plugged into the system. If I did not get plugged in right from the get-go, going, and everybody calls live events, everybody thinks it's simulcast and ambition. I think of live events as weekly meetings. And I grew my business from nothing to senior consultant strictly off of Darren's meeting down at the Botanical Garden. And I literally didn't hardly have any time to do anything. So, I tell everybody there's really no excuse on time, and I'm allowed to say that. But if you just attach a why, and from day one you get plugged into the system and you start going to live events, you'll meet some unbelievable people that will help you. They don't have to be connected to you, affiliated with you. It doesn't matter. It just makes you feel good, and you'll notice with your new consultants, and you'll notice yourself, there is not two people the same in this company. The best thing about going to events in person, when you actually talk to people and people stand up and they say what they do for a living. Everybody's different. Male, female, different construction, medical sales, everything. Everybody's uniquely qualified to do this job. And if I could do it, if I could start all over again, the only thing I would do is start listening and doing the Purge, because I just kind of went willy-nilly because of so many hours, and that's really what I would do is I would just go back and develop my structure from day one. So the people that I bring into my business now, I teach everything that I'm telling everybody to do on this, and we teach, invite people, 2 people a day, and we tell them how to get them off their list and sort them. And that may be saying a lot to do right from the beginning, but the most important thing is have a why and get plugged in and go. Don't try and learn on your own. Don't try and reinvent the wheel. Just get on the wheel and start rolling. That's it, and you'll have success in this business. And it's just a matter of time. I know people say it all the time, but it's just a matter of time, and hopefully my time is coming soon.
Yeah, no question. And I couldn't have put it better myself. And again, just for those of you who are brand new, just to summarize what Chad was there, because he's right on the money. First of all, know why you're doing this business. In Chad's case, it's his son. In my case, it's my son's. But also, I'm 52 and I'm frightened that I'm going to get older and not have enough money. So, we're both in touch with our whys. Plugging into the system, what that means, a lot of people use that phrase, and some of you who are new won't know what that means. That means get to 1 business presentation a week. Plug into your upline. Like, for example, I know there's a couple of people here who are brand new with Michelle. Plug into Michelle. She will make sure she can guide you to the business presentation you need. She'll always be there to take your calls. And for those of you others who have people on the call who are new, it's getting to a business presentation, going to live events, like, for example, the one on Saturday, which I know Michelle will talk about briefly at the end of the call to make sure everybody's got that information. And then creating structure. When Chad talks about the Purge call, that's creating structure. On Sunday, prepare your week. 10 names, create the invites, 2 invites a day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, an accountability call, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Structure, just like your job. I don't apologize for this. This business is like a job until you're financially free. Treat it with the same respect. If you don't turn up to your job, that won't be successful either, because someone will fire you. In this particular case, turn up to your Ambit job. So have the respect. So be in touch with your why, plug into the system, create the structure, and have respect for your Ambit business like it's his job. So, Chad, that was freaking awesome, man. I couldn't have that's why I love not having questions, because I just love it kind of free-flowing the way it's going. Was there any one final thing you wanted to say before we go?
Yeah, I would like to say one final thing. For those of y'all that are on this call, Richard is your executive consultant. I have heard from many, many people. There are a lot of executive consultants in this business that have achieved what they are going for, and they, for whatever reason, they're not that active. You have an active upline. You're able to plug into these calls and learn. Richard will be at the at the Ambit Power Workshop on the 1st on Saturday. You should take full advantage. I'm fortunate I have Richard and Mary Muedo that are super, super active. The people that have active uplines, those people are still in the business because they want to grow their business, but they truly want to help you. So please take advantage. If Richard did not want to help everybody, he wouldn't be on this phone call. He doesn't have to be on this phone call. So thank you very much, Richard, for doing this for all of it, and we greatly appreciate your leadership.
Well, I appreciate the kind words. Thanks so much, Chad. You know, I appreciate your friendship as well. We're going to bring the call to a close. Chad, thank you so much for coming on. And again, you know, I kind of threw you under the bus with no prepared questions, and you did admirably. I mean, you know, I like that because you are going through what everyone's going through. So thank you so much for coming on the call. I really do appreciate it, my friend.
Yes, sir. Thank you.